Hello everyone and welcome to Build 2021 Community Connection, the future of digital economy, which is developers. I hope you all are enjoying Build 2021 so far. I'm not sure how many of you watched Satya's keynote, but I personally woke up early in the morning, 3:30, and watched the keynote. If you haven't, I would highly encourage you to just watch that out. So my name is Sudhir. I work as an Azure Developer Product Marketing Manager based out in New Zealand. And today I got some awesome people joining me to share their thoughts on the future of digital economy, which is developers. So instead of me introducing them, let me ask one by one them to come on board and introduce themselves. So let's get started with Alex. Alex, over to you.
Thanks, Sudhir. Everybody, nice to meet you. My name is Alex Smith. I take care of customer success for Microsoft Asia Pacific, covering application development and infrastructure. We're a team of about 300 engineers and architects spread across Asia Pacific with a really simple and fun mission: help our customers use technology to do things better, to build, to innovate, and most importantly, to empower. I'll pass back to you, Sudhir.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex. The next speaker that we have with us is Annie. Annie, can you just introduce yourself? Over to you.
Thanks, Sudhir. Hi, I'm Annie Matthew, and my role at Microsoft is to empower developers to do more with cloud capabilities on Azure. I love meeting you. I love meeting people and listening to what you do, what are the challenges, and how I can help or Microsoft can help. So I personally love music, reading, walking, and something new that I'm working on is yoga. So I'm so thrilled to be here with you today. Looking forward to the conversation. Over to you, Sudhir.
Thank you so much, Annie. And by the way, I also love yoga. So let me just move on to the next speaker. Ashwin, over to you. Can you just unmute and introduce yourself?
Thanks, Sudhir. Hello and selamat petang Malaysia and everyone else in the Asia Pacific. So I'm Ashwin and I work as partner technical architect in Microsoft. And what I do essentially is that I work together with Microsoft partners to build their integration with Microsoft Teams. So whether the partners, they have their own solutions or they are building from ground up in terms of their integration with Microsoft Teams, I'm there to actually help them to build the world-class integrations possible with Microsoft Teams, whether in collaboration space or to increase their personal productivity. Over to you, Sudhir.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ashwin. Last but not the least, my close friend, Victor. Can you just unmute yourself and introduce?
Hi, everyone. My name is Victor Viriya-ampanond. I'm also based in New Zealand, like Sudhir. I'm a customer engineer, part of Azure engineering team at Microsoft. I help customer on board through Azure Fast Track program. And yeah, I've been with Microsoft for some time, close to 9 years now, and have been and also a developer just like yourself, and also a DevOps specialist. Back to you, Sudhir.
Cool. Thank you so much, Victor. So as you can see, everyone, we have a very diverse people on today's panel. And if you have any questions for them, just go ahead and put in Q&A and then, tag our speakers as well so that we can take your questions during these conversations. And we would love to see you in this conversation as well. So let me just go ahead and start with Alex. Alex, you mentioned you're working, with the customers day in, day out, and your job is to make sure our customer are being on the success track. Now, I just want to, understand what are the, the pain points that you have seen in the modern software development and how Microsoft Technologies helps to overcome those issues.
Thanks, Dan. As I work with many organizations across the world, I find a really common pattern. Every company has woken up, they've looked at the success in the world and they think, you know what, I want to become a technology company. The problem with this is that many businesses now can't focus on their core capabilities. I work with banks who decide that they want to become software vendors, government agencies who want to become IT outsourcers, and hospitals who want to operate data centers. As I see these organizations move through their maturity, it really starts to impact their ability to really hit their business drivers. Now, one of the best pieces that we can do to take advantage of cloud and to help organizations like this really get through it is to just allow things like Azure to take care of that undifferentiated heavy lifting of operating infrastructure or building what are effectively base features. So if I think of the core pain of software development really being having to do a lot of the foundational or scaffolding work myself, because as a hospital, I suddenly become an IT vendor. By using a supplier or a product such as Microsoft Azure or many of our software development components, life gets a lot easier for them. Another really difficult problem is that more and more technology is innovating. As the IT organizations of almost every company in the world grow, for us to stay on top of the latest and greatest is very, very tricky. There isn't a single interview or customer conversation I do where somebody doesn't throw the phrase microservices or DevOps and just hope it sticks. A really key way to get through this pain point is to look to those who are already leading in the market. As you may know, Microsoft's one of the world's largest open source contributors, as you can see through our contribution through GitHub. By allowing our developer ecosystem to really take advantage of this, it allows the developers using us to leapfrog others in the industry. And I'll let you in on a secret. I'm a terrible developer. I'm a hacker, I'm a programmer, but I'm a really bad developer. So I rely on other organizations, other open source projects, and other vendors for me to look at and go, great, I can build on top of this. I guess the final and one of the most difficult problems I've seen in software development is that everybody in the world now is expected to be a DevOps engineer. As I said earlier, it's yet another crazy, trendy phrase that's thrown around. Now, if I think back to earlier software development processes, often with a very strict separation between infrastructure and development, you'd find that developers were masters of their skill set, as were the infrastructure people. Now, without that very distinct divide between infrastructure and software development, there's an expectation on even junior software developers to be very strong operators, to be able to build and manage systems. Now, my hack really here is using more managed services, whether it's things like Kubernetes service so I don't have to worry about my containerization, or even to go full serverless. You'd be amazed by how many times I've seen people retire platforms they've built themselves and move over to managed services because they've realized that actually it's far more effective for them. I guess one of the final pieces I'd also say is that I'm seeing more and more disconnects between the business and IT and the business and development as development moves faster than ever. I've seen people start to pick up chat ops and chat integration through things like Microsoft Teams and integrate that into DevOps workflows, integrate it into GitHub. It's important for me because I believe that's a strong method to allow the business and the developers to be even closer and really remove one of those key pain points in software development. So those are my main points today. Back to you.
Cool. Thank you so much, Alex. And I think I echo what you said. And I heard a lot of technologies over there, DevOps, serverless, AKS, and so on and so forth. And one of the things, which is constant in the technology world is the upscaling, right? And that's probably going to be my next question. And I'm seeing there's the similar kind of a question that we have in the chat is about how can we be a developer with all the skills that does the above. I mean, there are a lot of technologies, if they want to put host a website on a different technology stack. So I would like ask Annie, what do you think about and what's Microsoft vision for the developer upskilling, which is very relevant in today's world?
Right. Thanks, Sudhir. And Alex painted a good picture of all the expectations of developers from a business point of view. So I want to focus on you as an individual developer in the world today. And the world has changed in the last now 12, 15 months. And where we are sitting now, we have to be part of reimagining a new future for ourselves as developers, a new future for the companies we work for, the nations we live in. So, and underpinning it is all technology, because everything has gone remote, and technology is an imperative. Whether you are a tech company, non-tech company, a person who doesn't know tech at all, you're still using tech. Taylor, we can come to this slide a little bit later. So talking about digital transformation, at Microsoft, Satya and all of us are big believers in the fact that digital transformation is not about technology alone. It is a cultural transformation. And now that underpins what the future of dev looks like and what skills we need as well. So yes, digital transformation is sitting at the junction of 4 elements, 3 of which we know from the DevOps practices: people, process, and technology. We are clear about that, and which is why DevOps is so important in tomorrow. And Alex mentioned that everybody has to be a DevOps engineer, and that comes from the fact that collaboration and driving synergy is at the crux of digital transformation. Companies and people do not want that one rock star who does 10% better, but really wants that person who will make 10 people around him or her 1% better. So a lot is underpinning on collaboration, on seamless integration between development, production, engineering, security, all of that. So DevOps becomes crucially important. Collaboration becomes a key component for a developer from a skill perspective. The other interesting piece is tech intensity. Now, that's where developers play a key role, where tech intensity is about the question someone asked in the chat earlier about there are so many technologies, so many new stuff happening. How do you keep up with it? So the way that we think about it is to build a learning culture for yourself. What you see up on the slide here is one of the things so Microsoft has Microsoft Learn, which is the learning portal, which has got bite-sized learning module across anything. You can go there and say, hey, I want to be a DevOps engineer. I don't know anything about DevOps. It'll give you a learning path. You can do bite-sized learning and complete, certify on it. And if you look at what the offer currently is, put it up on LinkedIn, share with others so people can reach out. And of course, this is something that's going to be helping you skill as well as helping you build a community of skills. The fourth piece in that people, process, technology, and the fourth piece is data, literally. And that's a crucial part where developer role in the future is going to be different. So it's not just about yourself, but it's about the businesses you are in. And businesses today need to make quick data-based decisions on where's my next retail store going to be, which are the products I'm going to focus on. What should what's a consumer behavior like now? How do I understand that? What's the social determinants of what I'm doing? And how do I analyze that and create actionable insights? So if you look at that, data plays a crucial role, and the developers are one role that is sitting across people, process, technology, and data. So your role in today's business and in today's world is super critical, whether it's for your company or for your society. And so comes to that last and final skill that I would say is the future for developers is about taking a seat at the table with the business decision makers. So today, the business decision makers have a bunch of business problems. They're grappling with how to solve it. As developers, you're sitting at the technology side of things, sitting on a bunch of data, you're gathering insights from it. But it's no use to the business or yourself or the nation if you're just seeing those insights but not sharing that. So it's imperative now as a developer to make sure that wherever you get a chance to take a seat at the table and to speak up what you're seeing from a data perspective and help companies and nations actually decide on prioritize and build what will solve the current problems today. So, so that's how I see the future skills of developers. And coming back to tech intensity, that is fundamental for developers. And learning is a culture. So build that. Check out our Microsoft Learn platform. And there are tons of training sessions. And of course, the fundamental learning happens in communities. So we come to communities, let's meet each other and talk further about that. But that's my 3 cents on developer skills, Sudhir.
All right. Thank you so much, Annie. And I totally agree. Upskilling is most important. But Ashwin, you did mention that, you also worked as a developer some point of time, and you're still helping our partners, customers, on their journey. Now, can you share some insight, in today's scenario that we all are in? If you can share some insights on the developers' tools, which can help them to become more productive, I think that will be really good. Over to you, Ashwin.
Definitely, Sudhir. Thanks. So I think looking at the current pandemic situation, so just like what Alex has said, so a lot of companies actually have moved their software development team to online, right? And when we actually measure developer productivity, we look at specifically there's this term called developer velocity. So when we look at the developer velocity, so in one of the research, it actually says that top companies that has a top tier developer velocity, what happens over here is that they have seen 55% higher innovation and 4 to 5 times faster revenue growth itself. And I'm gonna just share 3 points of how do you actually will be able to actually increase developer velocity as well. So I think one of the most important thing over here to consider when we talk about developer velocity is that the healthy culture of the development team. So remember that a happy team is a productive team, especially in development team, right? So I think there are a few pointers over here. So one is the team has to actually set up a very clear communication line together between their team itself, right? So whether they how do they chat, how do they do video calls, when do they actually do a stand-up call together to update each other. Secondly is that where do you actually look at the single source of truth of the various storage of files among the developers. So for example, like when we look at developers, the most common tools that we actually use is GitHub, where we actually store our repos, we comment, we actually flag our issues over there as well. So everyone can have a single point of view of what goes well, what went wrong with that development of the project. And the third piece is collaboration. How do you actually create a discussion point? How do you come together and then enhance the team collaboration, looking at different task timeline of that particular project, right? So when we look at just like what Alex have shared earlier is that, like, for example, he also have seen a lot of people actually use Microsoft Teams to collaborate. So over here, it's the same thing. I also seen a lot of people that actually integrate their application. Like for example, the developer, they have created their own personal teams inside the team itself. They have their own channels that they embed GitHub so that they can keep track of the progress of the development as well. And then they can get together very easily. I think that's the first thing that's very important, basically establishing a healthy culture. The second part is basically tools, right? So one of the tools that very important for developer is of course the IDE itself. So in Microsoft, so we have best in class IDE. So we have Visual Studio. If you are using Visual Studio Code as well, that's great. You wanted to develop Node.js, you wanted to develop your Python application, or even IoT mobile application and all that, you can actually use these tools that are available for free as well, that you can actually use them. So Microsoft also have recently announced a new preview version of the Visual Studio 2022, with 64-bit support. So that means if let's say you have enterprise application that contains a lot of projects, for example, right, in a single solution, you'll be able to actually open it even faster and better because of due to the 64-bit support in the Visual Studio 2022 preview over there. And I think the third tips over here is also the developers also need to think about automating their workflows. So GitHub Actions, for example, so it allows you to actually automate all of your software workflows. For example, from CI/CD, you wanted to actually build, test, and deploy your code, right, from GitHub itself. So for example, let's say there's particular events that you wanted to actually trigger certain workflows, you can actually build it using GitHub Actions itself. Of course, being a Teams developer or Teams integration over here, I also wanted to share about, like, for example, there's some new updates in Microsoft Build as well for Teams. So Teams over here is that we actually launched a new Teams toolkit where you'll be able to actually build the integration faster with Microsoft Teams. So whether you're using React, SharePoint Framework, .NET, the toolkit is basically meant for you to actually quickly develop integration with the authentication, Azure Function, and many other services beside Teams, right? So I think these are my answers to your questions, Sudhir. Back to you.
So much, Ashwin, and I think I totally echo what you said, and I've also seen how Microsoft is empowering developers, to focus more on bringing the digital innovation rather than focusing about the toolings and installing the SDKs or getting into the nuances and wasting too much of time. Now, which brings me to my next point, to Victor. Victor, I heard that you day in day out work with the developers, helping them, the development or the deployment lifecycle. What are the common pain points that you see, during the development or deployment of a solution, and how the developers can overcome with that? Over to you, Victor.
Yeah, thanks, Sudhir. Yeah, so I mean, all in all, I think when we look at the software development, right, there are three keys that can unlock the competitive advantage, right? So these three keys are innovation, faster time to market, and quality and security of your software. So, and this play an integral part in terms of, deployment and then get the software to the production. So there are three challenges that I see that, in my opinion, at least, that kind of blocking this, right? Ability to collaborate amongst the teams, like whether not just developer, but then external team as well, like operation teams, business, and so on, right? And that, as Ashwin suggested earlier, that this increased collaboration, increased innovation, basically. Ability to consistently deploy across environment. This is the big things. And software quality and security. So let me address some of these, right? And Ashwin already went through a bunch of tools that actually help with the collaboration. So I'm not going to cover much on this, but Microsoft have tons of tools. Microsoft Teams have external plugin, things that can plug into the team that can help collaborate better, right? And that can integrate with SaaS product. Visual Studio Code is a free product that you can use, and a lot of developers out there is using it, right? We have extension like live sharing that helping with the code review. I mean, you can be in a remote, geographically different place, and then you can still do the code review for that. So that helps improving code quality and the collaboration there. And then, on top of that, GitHub repos, right? The repository that centralized place where you can share your code for internal and external, depends on what kind of project you're working on. So when it comes to consistently deploy environments across, software across environment, I think pretty much everyone that's a developer know how difficult that is to configure a dev machine, right? You can take hours, can take days sometime, just to get the software, right software, working correctly with the project that you're developing on. So, and to do this scale is difficult, and and you want to retain teams, and sometimes you hire a new developer, and you need to get them on board, and it's taking a lot of time to do this. So with the product like GitHub Codespaces, that was announced this morning as well, to help with the provide your dev environment within a few clicks with all the dependencies that's on there. It takes only minutes, and you can basically develop anywhere from your browser, from your VS Code, and if you're familiar with VS Code, Visual Studio Code, that's there for you to use, and you're already familiar with the interface there, right? Deploying software consistently across the environment is very hard, right? Without automation, it's nearly impossible, really. In some cases, if you don't even have a dedicated environment for testing, if you try to run this on your own premises. So having dev and test environment running at all times can be very expensive for organization as well. So Azure as a cloud platform with the right governance, right infrastructure as code, and right automation make this very possible. And you can do this consistently across environments altogether. And last, the quality and security of your software. I think pretty much everyone know that. I mean, all the software development today that happens today, 90% of software built today based on OSS library somewhere, one way or the other, right? So ability to detect vulnerability, security issue in your code is very important. And what we want to do, we want to shift this left. So what that means is the earlier detection of that security vulnerability or the issue that you get, the cheaper it is to fix it, rather than let it run into the production, and it's going to be very costly to fix the problem, right? And I mean, it can be even your company name that's actually at stake at that point. So with GitHub, had a GitHub Advanced Security that you can detect downstream security issue as soon as you check in your code. So I mean, with all the dependency that you use in your code to innovate faster, with something like this, you need to be aware of. So security is very important. And that's all from me. So back to you, Sudhir.
Cool. Thank you so much, Victor. And I was actually listening some of the sessions from the bill, and I've seen that how AI actually helping developers and citizen developers as well, to put the code in the Power Apps, which is mind blowing for me. Alex, with that respect, I would just like to know your thoughts on, how do you see the future of AI in general in every stream, or what's your thought on that?
Thanks, Sudhir. As I look towards the future of AI and what's next, I really feel that AI goes from being a force for replacing towards a force for assisting. If I look at one of our example customers, a company in Thailand called PTT Global Chemical, in partnership with a Thai business called Frontis, we built together a system which allowed the use of AI to improve driver safety on a very dangerous route between the capital city and one of the remote plants. The reason this was important was that after many road accidents on this road, people were losing their lives, people were losing their families. When it came to how AI could be assistive as opposed to replacing the drivers, Frontis built a platform that could use machine learning, use computer vision to assess driver exhaustion. It could look for risk factors. It could provide this information not to replace drivers, but to improve empathy, to improve care, to empower individuals. It allowed supervisors to check in with individuals and optimize driving and ensure that we would end up in a situation where safety was high priority for every person. As I look to the future of AI, I don't see the scary idea of us being replaced, and I don't see a problem. What I see is that through the right technology and the right applications of AI, we can empower every individual in the world to achieve more. And with that, I'll pass back to you to close, Sudhir.
Thank you so much, Alex. Really appreciate that. And I think we are close to the time. I appreciate all our speakers, coming and sharing their thoughts. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us as askapacdevpod@microsoft.com, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. And if you want to join our community, I would ask my moderator Taylor to put up the slide number 4, to share how you can actually join the Microsoft communities, and how we can then work together, learn together, and grow together as well. Taylor, can you put the slides, please?
Just pulling it up momentarily here.
And in the meantime, I'm seeing that our speakers are, probably answering some of the questions in a Q&A. If any of your question is not getting answered, please feel free to share with us over the email, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. All right, can you go one slide back, Taylor? Cool. So that's the link. That's a barcode. You can actually join our communities and receive regular updates from our side. What even Microsoft is participating. What are the new things that are coming up? Some of the cool coding samples, that you can learn and leverage. So with that, thank you so much, all of you, for joining in, and I hope you got some valuable information from our panelists, and I would like to thank our panelists as well. Thank you so much, and take care. Have a good will.